Hello guys and welcome back to my channel. Unless you are new here, then welcome. I am Rachel from Rachael Reads and today I'm going to be doing another secondhand book haul. I know I only just did one recently, but I have been shopping again and I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I have 20 books here to haul for you. I'm not going to spend heaps of time talking about these books because I actually don't have a lot of time. I need to get to work this afternoon and yeah. Anyway, so I got all of these books from Vinnie's. I bought 20 books and they cost me $51 in total, which I think is a pretty good deal. Last time I went shopping, I averaged about $2 per book. This time the books range anywhere between $1 and $5 and I will share that information with you. Most of them are in pretty good condition and you'll be able to see that for yourself. Without further ado, let's get started. So the first book that I'm going to talk about today is Say Nothing by Brad Parks. So this is a legal suspense thriller. And it is about a judge named Scott Sampson. So Scott Sampson has twin children who are 6 years old and he's supposed to pick them up from their swimming lesson. He receives a message from his wife saying that they will not be going to swimming lessons, that they need to go to the doctor. So he goes home and he waits for his wife. However, when she arrives, she has not sent her husband a text message. She did not go to the doctor and they have no idea where their children are. Then the judge receives a phone call saying that the person on the other end of the line has the children and the judge must do everything that he is told in an upcoming case. So it is a courtroom suspense revolving this family and what they have to do in order to get their children back. I thought it sounded really interesting. This one cost me $4, which I was a bit surprised about because it has a few scuffs, but overall, you know, it looks pretty good, I think. The next book I bought is Thicker Than Water by Bridget Kemmer? I'm not sure. And this is a paranormal YA novel. So a paranormal thriller YA novel. I don't usually read YA. I find that because I spend all of my time with teenagers, sometimes I don't really want to be in the mind of a teenager when I'm reading. I want a more adult focused story. However, I do occasionally enjoy them. So this one is about a boy named Tommy Bellwether and his mother has been murdered and he becomes a suspect for the murder because he was the only one in the house when she died and the house was locked. His stepfather is a cop and the stepfather is struggling to protect Tommy. The only one that believes Tommy is a girl named Charlotte. Now Charlotte is the sister of the 3 policemen that are investigating Tommy, so she is very dangerous for him to get involved with her. But the two team up together to try and prove Tommy's innocence, and I'm really interested to see how that story goes, and I'm interested to see what sort of paranormal elements come into play. So this one was also $4 and it is in pretty good condition and has actually been laminated, which, you know, is nice. So the next book that I picked up is The Thing on the Shore by Tom Fletcher, and this is supposed to be a horror novel. So it is about a man named Arthur, and when he was 12 years old, he witnessed his mother jumping from a cliff into the ocean and she passed away. So he and his father were both wasted by grief and they stayed at their family home in Whitehaven, and his life became really dull and meaningless. So years later, Arthur is working in a call center and he's desperate for something to change his life and to get him out of the monotony. So something is coming. We don't know what is coming. We're not given any more information than that is going to change Arthur's life. I haven't read a lot of horror. I've read, except for maybe Stephen King, but I do enjoy the genre, so I thought this would be an interesting pickup, and it was only $1, and it is in fantastic condition. Like, it doesn't even look like it's been read, to be honest, so can't go wrong for $1, as I always say. So the next book that I picked up is called Hidden by Katie Gardner, and this is another thriller, and it's about a woman named Mel Steining, and she has a 7-year-old daughter who has been struggling to adjust to her new marriage and her new sibling. So Mel decides to take Poppy, which is the daughter, Poppy out for a day out, and they play hide and seek in an abandoned warehouse. As Mel is looking for her, it becomes clear that Poppy has gone missing, and her husband becomes the chief suspect. So her husband saw his car was heard leaving the warehouse, and he becomes under suspicion, and Mel really starts to doubt him, especially when it becomes clear that the day before Poppy went missing, he was accused of murder. So it sounds really interesting, and this one was only $1. Again, can't go wrong for $1. So the next book that I picked up is called Shelter by Sarah Franklin, and this is a historical fiction. So it's set in World War II, and in the spring of 1944, we have two characters from different ends of the world that end up coming together. So we have Connie Granger, and she's a trainee lumberjill, and she has fled her city that has been destroyed by bombings, and she thought that joining the timber services would be an escape and somewhere safe to stay. And then we have Sipe, who is an Italian prisoner of war who is haunted by his memories in combat, but they discover each other and come together, and they realize that together they can build a life and start again, but with this comes issues. So I'm interested to see what that one is about. This one was $5, which I think is a little bit steep for a secondhand book, but it is in perfect condition. It doesn't even look like it's really been opened, and it is for charity, so $5 is probably the most I would pay. Okay, the next book that I picked up is Hangman by Heath, and this is a crime mystery thriller. And so a woman, her son has been kidnapped, and they have received a ransom, and just hours before the ransom is due, the cops have no idea what to do, and they have no leads. So they call in the Hangman. The Hangman is a specialist at solving these sorts of problems. The catch is he is a dangerous criminal that works for the FBI. Sounds kind of like the Blacklist. But this time the Hangman might have met his match, and he is really struggling to solve the case. So I thought this one sounded interesting. Again, this one is $5, but it is in pretty good condition. Doesn't really look like it's been read, no scuffs or anything like that. So the next book that I picked up is The Method by Shannon Kirk, and this is another thriller. So here we have a 16-year-old pregnant teenager who is kidnapped and thrown into a dusty van. So from the very first minute of the kidnapping, she's overcome with two thoughts. One, to save her unborn child, and two, to exact revenge. So throughout this whole ordeal, she is plotting her revenge. And the headline of the book, so to speak, is "The method is what happens when the victim is just as cold as the captors." Sounded interesting. So this was $3, and it is in perfect condition. Perfect. So the next book that I picked up is After You by JoJo Moyes. I picked this up because I did read Me Before You a few years ago, and I did like it, but not enough to go and buy the sequel full price. And this just sees the main character Lou Clark on her next adventure after her boyfriend was killed, after he died. I don't really want to know much more than that, because I quite like my romances to be a little bit mysterious. And this one was $3, and it's not in great shape, but that's okay. So the next book that I bought is 4 Seconds to Lose by K.A. Tucker. and this is a new adult romance. It is actually the third in a series, which I hadn't realized, so I'm not going to talk about what that's about because I will try and get my hands on the first couple first. But the reason I picked this one up was because I loved The Simple Wilds, which I read earlier in the year, and it's one of my favorite books of the year so far. And this one was $3. So the next book that I picked up is The Midnight Watch by David Dyer. And this is a historical fiction that is set in the aftermath of the Titanic disaster. So when the Titanic was sinking, it sent Morse code requesting assistance, and then it sent out flares to gain attention from other ships. The Californian, which was a ship in the area, ignored those pleas for help. A journalist named John Stedman wants to know why this happened, and he begins to investigate, and he believes that there's a story behind why the Californian did not give assistance to the Titanic. And this is based on a true story, and I'm really interested to read more about this because, you know, as a child I watched Titanic and fell in love with Rose and Jack, and I know they're not real characters, but you still sort of fall in love, you romanticize that story, so I'm interested to read more about it, and this one was $3. So the next book that I bought is called Oranges and Sunshine by Margaret Humphreys, and apparently it's a major film, but I haven't heard of it. I'm not sure. Anyway, this is a historical fiction set in 1986 where a woman named Margaret Humphreys is a social worker in Nottingham, and she is investigating a woman's claim that at age 4 she had been put on a boat to Australia by the British government. So at first Margaret doesn't really believe this woman, and she thinks it's just an incredible story that couldn't possibly be true. However, she begins to investigate, and she realizes that this is just the tip of the iceberg, and that up to 150,000 children had been deported from Britain to different areas of the empire without their parents' knowledge or permission. Many of the children were told their parents were dead, and the parents were told that their children had been adopted out. However, for many of these children, it was a life of physical and sexual abuse, and this is the story that uncovers that abuse. And I'm really interested to read this one. I've never read anything like that. And again, it is in pristine condition. I don't think this has even been opened, and it's only $2. Okay, I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 6, 7, 8. I've got 9 left, so just over halfway, which is good because I'm running out of time. Okay, so the next one that I picked up is Without Consent by Katherine Fox, and this is another crime thriller. It's about a forensic physician, Anya Crichton, and she's on the trail of a serial rapist. So 2 of the victims are stabbed to death, and police suspicion immediately falls on Jeffrey Willard, who has recently been released after 20 years in prison for brutal rape and murder of a 14-year-old girl. So Anya begins to delve into the case, and she comes up with evidence that shows that Willard could have been innocent, and she is trying to figure out what to do with that information. I don't know. I don't think this will be on the top of my to-read list, but it does look interesting, and that was $2. The next one that I bought was a bit of a bit of an interesting one for me. It's We Bought a Zoo by Benjamin Mee, and I bought this because I really liked the movie when it came out several years ago, and it is about a man named Benjamin Mee. So it is a autobiography about Benjamin Mee, who decided to uproot his family and buy a zoo. Yeah, it's really cute, and I really enjoyed the movie. And the next book that I picked up is A Friend of the Family by Lisa Jewell. I picked this up because I really liked one of Lisa Jewell's other books, which was a thriller. This is a chick lit about 3 brothers that come back together, and all the things that are going wrong in their life and how they find love. You know, it's interesting. I like these sort of light-hearted chick litty books. Yeah, we'll see how that goes, and that was $2. Again, it is in near perfect condition. The next book that I picked up is The Narrow Road to the Deep North by Richard Flannagan, and this is another historical fiction. It is set in World War II in August of 1943, in a Japanese POW camp on the Thai-Burma Railway. If you don't know me, then you might not know that I am a historian and I'm obsessed with learning more about World War II, especially at the moment the Thai-Burma Railway. So this one was right up my alley, and this one is about an American POW that is in a POW camp, and he is in charge of a group of men and he feels responsible for these men and keeping them safe. And it is about him dealing with that pressure and trying to get everyone out alive. And this one was $2. Okay, the next book that I picked up is another crime thriller. It is Love You More by Lisa Gardner. And this is about a split-second decision that leaves a man named Brian Darby dead. His wife, who is a state police trooper, Tessa Leone, claims to have shot him in self-defense. And for Detective D.D. Warren, it should be an open shut case, except their 6-year-old daughter has gone missing. So D.D. Warren is tasked with trying to find the 6-year-old daughter, but Tessa is keeping secrets and will not give Warren any information. And Tessa is struggling to know who to trust and who to turn to. So this one sounds interesting, and it is again $2. 4 more to go. Okay, the next book that I picked up is Killer Smile by Lisa Scottoline. And this one sounds a little bit cheesy, and I'm not sure that I will necessarily enjoy it as much as I would have initially thought. So it's about an attorney named Mary Nuzio, and she receives a really terrifying phone call when she's working late one day, and she finds a shadow that's been lurking around her. One day, a lawyer that works near her shows up dead, and Mary begins to suspect that something sinister is going on. And then there's this other subplot that is about Mary. She's a widow, but everyone keeps trying to set her up on dates, and they are not aware that they are fixing her up with a killer. So we'll see how that one goes. It was again $2. Okay, I picked up another Mary Higgins Clark book. If you watched my last haul, you will notice that I picked up a lot of Mary Higgins Clark books. This one again was at the same op shop, so I don't know if someone's just having a big Mary Higgins Clark clean out, or she's not very popular, or people just don't like her writing, but you know, that was there. This one sounds really confusing, so I'm not going to talk about the plot too much. Hopefully after I've read it I can give you my thoughts, but as you can see there, it's just like the blurb is huge. It sounds really convoluted, so I'm not going to even try to untangle that. So the next book that I picked up is The Wrong Girl by Lisa Wilson, and this is about a girl named Phoebe Piper that went missing when she was 3 years old in a very public holiday. And after a long search and a very public investigation, there were no leads and she was never found. 7 years later, Molly Jackson, aged 10, finds her uncle she finds her uncle dead. And she has absolutely no memories of her early life, and she begins to suspect that she's Phoebe Piper. So that is what that story is about. This one was $2 as well. It's a little bit scuffed on the front cover and the pages are a bit ruddy, but that's fine. I don't mind a loved book. So the last one that I picked up is Limitations by Scott Turow. And this is a legal thriller about a judge named George Mason. He used to be a criminal defense attorney, but now he is a judge on the Court of Appeals. And he's currently working on a disturbing rape case. And he begins to question the very nature of the law and the legal system. And he's not sure if this is because of what's happening in his life. His wife has recently been diagnosed with some sort of illness, or if it's something more at play. And I'm interested to see what that one is about. It's quite a small novel, and this one was only $2 as well. Wow, I wrapped through that. This will be one of my quickest hauls ever, but I'm trying to shorten them. I don't want my hauls to be super big, because when I'm talking about the plot, I actually haven't read the books. I don't know a lot about them. I'm just going by the blurb and what Goodreads says. And sometimes when you spend too much time looking at the blurb, it can spoil the book a little bit. So I'm trying to shorten these down a lot. Let me know if you like this, or if you want me to go back to slightly longer videos. I think this will still be like 25 minutes though when I cut it down. But thank you for watching my haul. Let me know if you like these thrift store hauls. This is going to be the second one. I need to stop shopping. Like, it is ridiculous how many books I have on my to read shelf. It's like over 100, and like I've only read 40 books so far this year, so it's going to take me ages to get through them. I need to stop buying books. Rachael, stop. You guys need to help me with that. Anyway, thank you for watching my video. Please like and subscribe. Let me know if you've read any of these books or if you have any recommendations. Not that I need to buy them, but if you have any recommendations for me, or if you have any preference on what books I read next, let me know. Anyway, I've got to head off to work now, so I will catch you later. Thank you and goodbye.